Well, hello there and welcome back to the channel. It's Perry here and I appreciate you stopping in to check out this video. So today's video, we're going to focus on an update for the month of May. Yeah, it's sort of the beginning, but there has been some changes that I've been putting into works on this Smooth Bommie here so that I can get the aesthetic look that I've been sort of going for. So with that in mind, let's go ahead and get started. And just in case you were following along, I want to make sure and mention to the audience that I do this sort of like right off the top of my head. I don't really do any rehearsals of any sort. I sort of just pick up my phone and make videos. This is more of a raw kind of way of doing things, and it might not be appealing to all. There's really no format. I'm not going to get into polished videos, at least not right now until I have somebody that might want to help out with that. But with that in mind, I can keep it kind of simple by just going through the things that I find to be important as it relates to the Smooth Bommie. And so let's just get started with some of the changes that I've been making. So a couple comments recently about bubble algae. So let's start there. I've been really digging in this past week. I have scraped, I have cut away, I have brushed with a battle brush away so much bubble algae in the last couple of days. So if you see it flying around the tank, a little random piece here or there, totally normal because yeah, the tank has definitely been worked on this week. A lot of neglect, not neglect in a sense that I'm not taking care of my animals, but neglect in a sense that my maintenance has been not top of priority at this point. So like anything else, what you put into something is what you receive. So I knew that a little elbow grease would serve this Bommie quite well. So now you can look out and you can probably see that it looks nice and clean. And the colors are really jumping. They were jumping all along with bubble algae. Bubble algae is gonna be pervasive when you get a full spectrum of lighting if it's in your system. The best bet is as it pops up to try to carve it out of the system as quickly as possible so it doesn't become a nuisance like it did in my system. So for mine, I had to just kind of go nuclear on it, and I decided to use like a scalpel type knife to cut it out of all the rock, and then I went behind it and toothbrushed it away. And now for me, I've always been a firm believer in Mexican redleg hermits, so they're gonna go and start working on whatever shrapnel is left behind of my cutting and scraping and brushing. So that's my approach. Now as far as all the bubble algae in the system, I disable all the pumps except the return, and I let it just go in the overflow if it can make it there. If not, I use a fish net and just net it out and just kind of create a swirling circular motion like a whirlpool effect. It seems to get it all lifted up into the water column, and then I just catch it with the net and remove it, knock it into the garbage can, do it again, knock it into the garbage can. Eventually, I've harvested in this 2 days worth of scraping, brushing, and cutting away, I've harvested a spaghetti strainer full. One of those Rubbermaid spaghetti strainer full of bubble algae. I kid you not. There was that much in the system. So this gets us back to modular reefing. If you've watched some of the previous videos, modular reefing really helped out in this instant. I can take each piece individually and work on it as opposed to having to take the whole rock structure apart or possibly break corals in my effort to remove that bubble algae. So it's a lot easier to simply take one coral off the shelf, remove another, and then just cut it all out, suck it out with a siphon hose if you want to do it that way with a water change, or use a fish net like I did because I didn't have to do a water change that way. So I will be doing a water change in the next day or two, but I really wanted to jump on that bubble algae before I did my next video. So hopefully you can see my efforts. Now, since I had my arm in the reef cutting away all that bubble algae, I thought, you know, I should probably go ahead and sort of update the aesthetic aspect of the actual structure of the reef and build in a little bit more texture by building some height into the reef. And that gives a lot more, makes it look a little bit more broken up, and it adds a lot more texture to the reef. So something I felt was missing. I'll give you an example. Let's go in close and I'll show you one of the changes. So right there in front of the clownfish, that piece right there is a combo battle coral smoothie rock, and that has the cricket spine and the skinny love mounted on it. And so I moved that so it's higher up in the water column. I'll zoom out and show you what I mean. Now that was on the sand bed. So see what I'm saying? See how that texture, it builds that up on the left side of that reef, giving it a little bit of a broken up look. I also repositioned the purple candle down in the bottom here, right in the center of the screen, as you can see. So as you can see, looking in closer, a lot of that bubble algae was cut away. That little piece of rock was taken from the sump and added in. That really brilliant, like greenish turquoise coral you see right there is the Pang's cherry tip, not one I've featured yet. It is just the slowest grower. It's a beautiful piece though. Also, as you can see up against that back wall there, that is an aqua rock. It's a piece of branch rock that has pre-cut out holes for frags. And so that allowed me to get some of them frags up off of the sand bed, and it allowed me to put them up there so they can grow out. Some of that stuff will go to other people, and I believe some of them are regrows from me, so that I'm just regrowing them before I decide where I'm going to place them, in the tank. So I'll kind of keep that up there. It's out of the way. It doesn't detract from the overall appearance of the tank. So I just kind of wanted to show that. And then as you can see, a little bit more tightening up right here in the back. I added another piece of rock, and I sort of did some pretty cool work in here. So if you see that top piece right there, I went ahead and mounted it onto kind of made like a little perch for it, and so it's up in the water column, and that's like a spath. That's the battle coral sunflower spath. And then my coral that I'm really fond of is the purple one. I lifted up into the water column, so you can see that instead of just a sharp break after the coral on the top middle of the perch right there, where you can see the fox flame, and then you can see the tabling acro in the battle coral's bonfire, it was a real sharp drop off to the bottom. So I went ahead and built a little bit of, put a little bit more rock there, lifted some corals. Again, I'm just trying to add a little texture to this bommie. So, it doesn't look so flat, like everything mounted right along the sand bed, like the same height, too linear, right? So I wanted to get it a little more broken up. So now, as you look, you can really start to see the efforts that have been made on clearing, as the rock is looking just beautiful looking rock. And again, a little bit of leftovers of that bubble algae being scraped off and taken away. But as you can look out into this side view of the bommie, now you can really sort of see the vision come alive with the smooth acros really starting to fill in and really starting to do their thing. Some of these are looking really good. So I'm just real pleased with the way I finally have gotten this design looking the way I wanted it. So now as we back away, you can really start to get an idea for the way this tank has been designed. Again, it doesn't appeal to everyone's palate, and I'm not here to do that, guys. I didn't mean to get sort of abrasive. I try to do so in the most peaceful and humble way, with a couple users' comments that were, talking about how I should guide my videos, what I should talk about when. and really it's you guys who are pushing the videos along. It's the loyal subs that are following along. Some people that I've known for years in this hobby, going way back into the early 2000s. So it's not for me, it's not for monetization. This is just for my way of saying, hey, here's how I've done acros over the years. You either dig it or you don't. You're either with it or you're not. Like, it's okay. And if you're not, it's no problem. Like, I know I'm not going to appeal to everybody, and I'm fine with that. But I'm not going to change my approach because somebody from a different, that picked up on the video just didn't like the way it was going. And I apologize. I would really like to be appealing, but at the end of the day, I'm not polished. I'm not gonna be. I'm not tethered to any company. So I shoot off the hip. I just go ahead and do and say what I want. And I like being able to have that sort of approach. All right, so here's the front view. And now you can see that back shelf from the front perspective almost looks like it's a part of this reef from a bonsai perspective from this angle. So it just gives different dimensions, different depth, perspective. Again, it's just a different style of reefing, going back to modular reefing. And again, back to that appealing thing, I might not appeal to all because I do change things up. I am gonna go from sand to bare bottom to knot. I'm gonna try different techniques. I've always been one who likes to try different things, but lo and behold, I always do sort of find myself back to a good solid bacteria and carbon source, and I just feel that that's a good way for me personally to run my systems. And from there, that usually just puts me in that 100-to-1 ratio that I'm looking for. And it could be high on nitrates, low on nitrates, etc. on phosphates, but as long as I'm sort of in that range, that's when things to me look the best as far as colors and as far as the overall appearance and health of the environment, right? So yeah, that 100-to-1 seems to be where it's really at, and so as long as I'm there, I'm cool. And it seems that for whatever reason, the Aquaforest Pro OS and NP Pro have always just done me right as far as that's concerned. And everyone I've ever recommended it to is they really come back and sort of said the same thing. So yeah, I mean, like, again, it's just works for me. I'm not tethered to Aquaforest. And at full disclaimer, I once did actually work as a rep for Aquaforest years ago, but I am not like sponsored or anything like that here, guys. I'm not an influencer. So yeah, so the Instagram following, that was just built literally from the ground up. Yeah, I mean, that's just how we're doing things here. And so the people that have helped to push this channel along, they understand the content, they understand the vibe here, and maybe that's why they're here and enjoy being here. So for May, just to sort of recap, other than the efforts on the bubble algae and sort of getting that back rock in place on that magnetic rock in place for coral frags to come off the sand, not really much else to talk about. Still using the ESV 3-part. Not really doing any trace mineral dosing at all. I still use the flatworm stop like I had mentioned in the last video sporadically, as well as the sponge power sporadically. Other than that, I haven't done a water change in 3 or 4 weeks. I haven't tested my water in probably 3 months for, I don't know, it's been a long, I can't say, I don't want to put a date on it, but geez, it seems like it's been a few months since I've tested nitrates and phosphates. I know it's been a minute. Either way, I'm going to go by appearance, coral, the happiness of the polyps and seeing the visual cues. I'm going to let them guide me as far as the health of the system. And I will get around to testing, and when I do, I'll make sure to update it on the next video. And yeah, so we'll get some acro spotlights returning probably not till next week. I'll kick that back off. Now that the bubble algae's cleared off, I'll feel a little bit more confidence on my top downs. So yeah, so thanks for riding along with me. That's it for May. Other than that, I appreciate it. Mad respect for all you guys out there trying to keep a reef system. It's not easy. It does press on you. And just remember, it's a hobby. At the end of the day, celebrate. Make sure that you let somebody know that they're doing a great job. And, you know, and just remember, stay humble. There's so many ways to do this. And right when you think you got it, you know, that's when you find a bone white coral the next day. So no sense in letting your ego get a hold of you. Remember to take care of them animals. And hey, thanks again for following along.